Fleet Admiral Kex Tarn of the Allied Galactic Defense Force stared at the tactical display with mounting dread. The Voidborn invasion fleet, a nightmare of organic ships that devoured entire star systems, was advancing through the Outer Rim territories, leaving nothing but empty space in their wake. 47 civilizations had united to form the largest military coalition in galactic history, yet their combined fleets were being systematically destroyed. Admiral Communications Officer Zara 9 reported, her crystalline form pulsing with urgency. "We're receiving a transmission from the human liaison. Admiral Chen of the Terran Fleet is requesting permission to engage the enemy." The bridge of the coalition flagship Unity's Hope fell silent. Every species represented in the command crew, Altarians, Kithrains, Reptilians, machine intelligences, and a dozen others turned their various sensory organs toward Admiral Kex Tarn. The unspoken question hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Denied, Kex Tarn replied after a long pause. "Inform Admiral Chen that human forces are to maintain their current position and await further orders." Dr. Vale Moore, the coalition's chief military strategist, adjusted his biomechanical limbs nervously. "Admiral, with respect, we are losing this war. The Voidborn have consumed 6 star systems in the past month. Perhaps it's time to consider." "No," Kex Tarn cut him off sharply. "The Galactic Warfare Convention is clear. Human combat vessels are classified as restricted ordnance. They are not to be deployed except under the most extreme circumstances." On the screen, the human fleet hung motionless at the edge of the battle zone, 12 vessels that appeared almost primitive compared to the sleek designs of other galactic powers. The ships were angular, functional, built for purpose rather than aesthetics. To most observers, they looked like crude instruments of war rather than the sophisticated vessels that other species favored. Lieutenant Commander Peck 7, a young Altarian officer, accessed his historical databases. "Sir, I've reviewed the records from the Corvani conflict. The human intervention lasted only 14 hours. The Corvani hegemony, which had been expanding for 3 centuries, simply ceased to exist." "Exactly why they're restricted," Admiral Kex Tarn muttered. The truth was known only to the highest levels of galactic command. 50 years ago, during the Corvani War, the galactic community had made the mistake of accepting human military assistance. What followed had traumatized an entire galaxy and led to the immediate classification of human warships as weapons too dangerous for conventional warfare. Admiral Lyra Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet watched the battle unfold from the bridge of her flagship, the TDF Absolute Zero. Her crew of 300 humans operated their stations with characteristic efficiency, monitoring the slaughter of the coalition fleet with growing frustration. "Admiral," reported Captain Torres from the tactical station, "the Voidborn are adapting to coalition weapons faster than expected. Enemy fleet strength is actually increasing as they absorb destroyed vessels. Projected timeline until total coalition defeat?" Chen asked calmly. 46 hours at current attrition rates, Torres replied. Chen nodded, then activated her personal communicator. "Admiral Kex Tarn, this is Admiral Chen. Request permission to implement Solution Package Omega." The communication channel remained silent for several minutes before Kex Tarn's voice crackled through, heavy with resignation. "Admiral Chen, you understand what you're asking?" "Sir, the Voidborn represent an extinction-level threat to all galactic civilization. The situation meets the criteria for unrestricted engagement as defined in the emergency protocols." Another long pause. "Admiral Chen, your species' methods of warfare are disturbing to the galactic community. Even in the face of total annihilation, the Council hesitates to authorize human combat operations. With respect, Admiral, we didn't ask for this classification. We didn't ask to be excluded from galactic defense planning. But when your conventional methods fail, don't blame us for having solutions you find uncomfortable. Vede. Dear. Velmore accessed classified files from the Corvani conflict, reviewing footage that still gave him nightmares. Human warships didn't just destroy enemy vessels, they systematically dismantled entire military infrastructures with a precision and ruthlessness that bordered on the supernatural. They targeted not just fleets, but supply lines, manufacturing centers, command structures, and even civilian populations that supported military operations. The humans fought total war in a galaxy that had grown accustomed to limited conflicts with clear rules and boundaries. They didn't capture territory, they sterilized it. They didn't negotiate with enemies, they eliminated them so completely that their civilizations simply vanished from history. Admiral Dr. Vale Moore said quietly, "The Corvani left behind a message before their extinction. They said humans don't fight wars. They conduct surgical removal of civilizations they consider infected." Admiral Kex Tarn's multi-jointed hands trembled as he reached for the authorization controls. "Admiral Chen, you are authorized for Solution Package Omega. May the ancestors forgive us all." The change in the human fleet was immediate and terrifying. The 12 vessels that had seemed almost quaint moments before suddenly revealed their true nature. Hull sections slid away to expose weapon systems that defied galactic understanding. The ships themselves began to transform, reconfiguring into forms optimized for destruction rather than exploration. Coalition forces, Admiral Chen's voice broadcast across all frequencies, withdraw to minimum safe distance. "We are implementing total sterilization protocols." What followed was not warfare as the galaxy understood it. The human ships moved through the void-born fleet like antibodies attacking an infection. They didn't engage in ship-to-ship combat. They systematically analyzed the enemy's biological and technological composition, then deployed countermeasures specifically designed to turn the void-born's own adaptation mechanisms against them. The organic enemy vessels, which had proven capable of evolving defenses against conventional weapons within minutes, found themselves facing attacks that exploited their very ability to adapt. The humans introduced viruses into the void-born network that caused their ships to cannibalize each other. They released nanoprobes that convinced the enemy's sensory systems that empty space contained massive threats, causing the fleet to attack itself. Within 3 hours, the void-born invasion force had been completely eliminated. Not destroyed, eliminated. Every trace of their presence, every bit of biological matter, every quantum signature had been systematically erased from existence. Admiral Chen's voice echoed across the communications network. Threat neutralized. Area sterilized. Coalition forces may resume normal operations. The silence that followed lasted for nearly an hour as the galactic community processed what they had witnessed. The Voidborn, an enemy that had seemed unstoppable, had been erased so completely that their defeat resembled a cosmic surgery rather than a battle. Admiral Kex Tarn finally broke the silence. "Admiral Chen, your assistance is appreciated. Please return to restricted status immediately." "Understood, Admiral." Human forces withdrawing to quarantine zone. As the human fleet departed, Dr. Velmore pulled up the classification files that would once again lock away humanity's military capabilities. The designation was clear: Human Combat Vessels Classification, Extinction Level Ordnance. Authorization required from minimum 5 species council vote. Use only when facing species-wide annihilation. WARNING. Human warfare methods may result in permanent psychological trauma to allied forces. The galaxy was safe once again, but the price of that safety was the knowledge that somewhere in the darkness between stars, humanity waited with weapons that could erase civilizations from existence, with surgical precision and the terrifying competence to use them without hesitation when deemed necessary. The other species would continue to handle conventional conflicts among themselves, grateful that they would never have to witness human warfare again.